Hey guys, Rhett here. What's going on? Thanks for watching. Want to talk to you today about the importance of starting slow, the importance of starting with single family rentals. Now, there is a lot of stuff out there on social media. There's a lot of noise, okay? And the noise that I'm referring to is quick wealth and money and luxury and this and that, and it's fast and do this and do that. Guys, in real estate, we want to build slowly. We want to build long-term wealth, and we want it to take time, okay? There's no such thing as getting rich quick, all right? I had a conversation with one of my clients yesterday, and James, I'm talking to you, but we discussed the importance of doing this slow and being boring. So when I say being boring, what does that mean? It means for you, if it's one property a year, that's the pace that you need. If it's one property every 2 years, then that's the pace for you. If it's one property every 3 years, that's the pace. We need to be slow and steady, and we need to do this thing slow. Add one property when you can. Don't feel like you're being left behind. Don't feel like it's a race to 100 or 1,000 properties and you need to do it because you're missing out. Guys, it's a marketing ploy. Don't fall for it, okay? You need to take your time and do things the right way. Don't feel like I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough. How do I build more capital to buy more? And I only make X amount of dollars a year and I can't afford it. Take your time. Try to set your goals that are reasonable. Don't worry about what you think you see. Do not focus on that. If you try and focus on what other people are doing, you're never going to be successful. You need to focus on yourself. Build slow. When I say be boring, this process, guys, take your time, one at a time. We follow the system. We do things the right way. We look for the right property. We buy the right property. We do the right updates. We find the right tenants. And then when you can afford to buy another one, we buy another one. Now, what does that mean, afford? It means when you have enough money where you're not scraping it or cutting things short or trying to cut corners, when you can spend the money that you need to spend and still have a little bit of cash reserve left over, that is when you can afford to buy your next property, okay? Never stretch yourself too thin, all right? Now, another thing that is extremely important, starting small. Don't try and skip this process. Don't cheat the process. Buying a 5-unit or a 4-unit property for your first property is not a good decision, okay? Don't buy multi-unit, multi-door for your first property. Now, I don't consider house hacking multi-door at first. So you want to buy a duplex, you're living in one side and you're renting the other. I do not associate that with buying 2 units, okay? Because you're still having to live in one for 12 months. So if you've looked at house hacking, I don't consider that buying a multifamily, even though technically it is. What I consider a multifamily is you live in your home and your first unit, you buy a 4-unit or you buy a 5-unit or a small apartment building or 3 or triplex, and that's going to be your first introduction to being a landlord and a real estate investor. Guys, the importance of starting with a single family rental is every problem is one problem at a time. So something comes up with that property, you figure out how to handle it, you learn how to handle it, you learn how to solve it. When you're looking for a tenant, your 1 unit is vacant. You can handle it. You can afford it. You can afford the holding costs. You want to do rehab to that unit. It's 1 rehab you're handling. Now, if you want to buy a 4-unit, you multiply everything by 4, okay? So the initial price, 4x of what you'd spend on a single family. You want to do rehab? Guess what? You rehab in all 4 units. It's 4x, 4 times, okay? You want to market the property and get it on the market, guess what? You're paying holding costs for 4 units. not one. So you're vetting 4 tenants at a time. You're dealing with 4 times the problems, 4 times the issues. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot easier. And this is what I tell my clients all the time. Learn how to do it on a smaller scale. And then as you grow, then you have understanding. You understand what it's like to have properties vacant and look for tenants. The more experience you get, guys, the easier it is to grow and scale. And then you go from 1 single family unit to 2 single family units to a duplex, to a triplex, to a quadplex, to 5 single family units, to your first 10 unit, right? We have to do this thing in a progression, okay? Otherwise, you're going to drown. There are so many moving parts when you start acquiring multi-unit properties and you're buying them at a time. Okay, you're grabbing this property, you're grabbing this, and they have 4 doors here and 3 doors here. You guys don't have the infrastructure for that yet. You build your infrastructure by starting small and figuring out what works. You have to put all of your infrastructure through a stress test. And the way to do that is by saying, okay, I have 1 unit, now let me add another unit. Okay, does everything still work? Does my system still work? Okay, it does. Now I can add another unit. At one point, guys, you're going to see a breakdown if you're building your own teams. You're going to see a amount of units that when you add them together, you start seeing members of your team not cutting it in the way that you'd want. It might be too much work for the contractor. It might be too much to handle for the management company that you use. You're going to start seeing a breakdown. It's extremely important to see that breakdown and fix it, replace it, or make an adjustment, make an audible, okay? And change that so when it comes to you adding and scaling quickly and growing fast, that doesn't hold you up in the long run. We need to make sure our team and our system is strong and our foundation strong. That way when we build upon it, we can build as quickly as we want to, right? So when you guys are watching the things that you watch out there and you say, oh my gosh, I'm getting left behind. Look at this guy has this many units. Look at this woman has this many units. What am I doing? I only have 1. It's okay because we're doing it the right way. As long as you're doing it the right way, you're going to get there. And I'll tell you what, you're going to surpass every single person that buys into the fallacy that this is quick wealth, because it's not. Okay? You guys want to gamble, you want to play the lottery, you want to do this, you want to do that. You can do that. It's not going to get you, real estate is not going to get you quick wealth. Okay? Now, take our time. We build rental units, and over time, we have a lot of cash flow. We're self-sufficient, and we have appreciation and tons of equity, millions and millions of dollars in equity. And that's just by buying 1 property a year, guys. So take your time, do what you can do, and please, please, please don't get caught up in all of the material things that you associate with buying real estate. Take your time. Move slow. 1 a year is enough. And for you, if 1 every 18 months, that's also enough. Look at it like this. How many people do you know that have a rental property? Right? Not a ton. And if you are around a lot of investors, then maybe it's more than usual, right? But every 18 months, if you can buy a property, or every 12 months if you can buy a property, in a couple of years, you'll have more rental properties than anybody you know, I promise. And you might say, oh, it's not fast enough. It's not fast enough. Slow down. I don't know how many times I have to say it. The people that are successful in building real estate portfolios and building long-term wealth do not rush, okay? We can buy a single family, a duplex, a triplex, a quadplex, a 5-unit, a 10-unit, a 10-unit, a 30-unit, a 50-unit. Guess what? We have 100 properties, right? That's still taking our time. That might take us 10 years to do it, but 100 properties in 10 years, 10 properties a year, it's pretty good, right? It's almost 1 a month average. We take the average, but we did it slow. We buy that first single family. Maybe a year later, we buy our second single family. Maybe a year later, we buy a duplex. We're saying, okay, I'm getting a significant amount more cash flow coming in. I'm understanding how to do that. I'm ready for my first 5-unit. You buy a 5-unit. Now, right there, you already have about 10 units, right? And you've done it over just a couple years. So now you're averaging way more than one property a year. You see what I'm saying? We take our time at the beginning, and as we understand more about the business and more about how to structure our teams and how to structure our logistics, at that point, we realize, okay, I can take on a 10-unit. You take on a 10-unit. Things are going good. I love this. I'm going to do another 10-unit. Now, all of a sudden, your one property a year average just turned into 4 or 5. That's how you scale, guys. That's how you build. Don't try to do it today. Don't try to do it yesterday. Build for the future. Move slow. Do things right. Don't get caught up in the noise. Okay, guys? Thanks for watching. Leave your questions and comments below. I'll get to all of them, and we'll see you next time.